Let's listen to a snippet of the song before we start dissecting it.
Gonna get popped.
Yeah.
The wildfire, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, block. Why you always tryna get popped? The wildfire, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, block. Why you always tryna get popped? The wildfire, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, block. Why you always tryna get popped?
Yo, this shit slaps. It slaps hard. In this video, we're gonna be breaking down One Way. One of the songs out of my catalog is an R&B love song. And this song has mild influences from Frank Ocean and ODIE. And I figured that on a production level, it could interest some of you to see how I went about it. So the first thing we're gonna look at are the chords. I always lay down my chords first. So here we go. Alright, as you can see, the chords are quite simple. First of all, let's look at an instrument that I used. It's a Rhodes piano, very useful for R&B music. The preset is Suitcase Noisy Bright. I'm giving you all the sauce. And so let's take a look at why these chords are interesting. First of all, you can see that the velocity is quite similar. And it's quite low actually, which makes it softer. Moreover, you can realize that I don't always change the start of the notes, which some people do to make it feel a bit more realistic. It all depends what you're going for. What makes this loop quite interesting and this chord progression is that it's an 8-bar chord progression, so it's not as repetitive, which can be kind of boring sometimes. It's also going at 104 BPM, so it's quite slowed down and makes the whole feel a bit more different. And finally, you kind of see this space that I left in between two chords. It's an amazing pause and lets the arrangement breathe. After the Rhodes, I directly laid the 808. So let's listen to that with the Rhodes. Alright, so as you can see, I muted all the other notes and I selected the root notes of the chord progression. Some of them were too low, as you can see, so I brought them up an octave so that they don't muddy up the whole mix. So this is just an 808 sample. I didn't use a VST or whatever to make it happen. Dragged it into Quick Sampler and basically faded it out. After that, I added the snare, the usual snare on the third. Very simple. I went with a simple 16 notes hi-hat. And that's it. And in terms of sound selection, by the way, for the hi-hats, I like to use pretty soft hi-hats when it comes to my R&B style of songs. Most of the time, also, I would use snares instead of claps when it comes to R&B music. I then added in a kick, and here's the pattern. As you can see, it's very important to let the whole arrangement breathe because the whole point of this production is to leave space for the artist to sing or rap on it. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the instrumentation of this song. The whole magic happens in the vocals, so let's just check that out. So usually to find my top line, I let the chord progression play with the piano and I try to find a vocal melody. So we're gonna listen to something that I do not usually show. It's basically the first voice memo that I recorded on my phone to search for this top line.
This shit is not one day. I've been trying to hold it. This shit is not one day.
All right, right, as you can see, I'm pretty much singing like a dying bird on this first voice memo. This is just a good reminder that when you're searching for the idea, it doesn't have to be perfect. The whole process of making music is a journey, and basically you shouldn't be afraid of sounding like a fool, basically. Yeah. That was the first voice note. And as you can see here, I have a lot more voice memos trying to find the perfect piece for this. We're gonna listen now to what it sounds like and how I layered it.
This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late. This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late.
All right, and then I layered it. I find it very important to layer your vocals. It all depends on how you want to go about and the sound you're looking for. For me, I struggled at first to find exactly where my vocal range stands, and I actually do have a very low baritone voice. So in this song, in this first of many songs, I decided to put my baritone voice at the center of my production. So let's listen to the low vocals I did on this song.
This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late. This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late.
Shit, it sounds amazing. All right. So how did I go about songwriting this? I had one thought in mind. I wanted to talk about basically how love is often unilateral, you know? And even if sometimes it is reciprocated, there's always one person that's gonna feel more affectionate to his or her partner during the relationship, right? And this doesn't necessarily have to be about love, but it can also be about passion. Sometimes you just put too much time into something and you're not getting the same outcome you're expecting than the inputs you're putting into that thing, you know? So this is what the song is about. The whole idea is to not put your love in one direction and kind of find the balance. So I'm gonna show you guys how I processed the vocals and how I brought it to life. The first thing I did is put a little bit of auto-tune at 30 so you don't hear it too much. I like my vocals to sound relatively natural, I would say. And this is the first EQ that I put on my vocal channel. It's basically a preset that I made regarding the U87, which is a very famous mic. And I'm just lowering the highs a bit and taming the lows. With this second EQ, I'm high passing the low end and avoiding for all that rumble to come in through the vocal. I'm also taming the 200 Hertz frequency range, and that's it for this EQ. Finally, I personally always use this fab filter C2 to compress my voice on the vocal with a vocal style compression. I use it with a fast attack and a medium release. This helps to tighten the voice and makes it come up front a little bit more. Moreover, I like my voice to be relatively more compressed, so I use a FET compressor, which has a fast attack. I put it on 14 milliseconds, which is pretty fast, and also with a fast release. This allows for consistency throughout my whole interpretation. Then I use a Pro de-esser to cut all those S's. And I used a second de-esser because those S's are never pleasant when they're coming through the mix. For male vocals, at least my vocals, my S's are around 7 to 8K. All right, so one of the last things that I do for the vocals is that I add a multi-band processor, notably the one from FabFilter. This helps me to shape the sound of my voice without altering it too much. So let's check out what I did here. I basically tamed the mids. I also boosted the highs a little bit more, and I also tamed the S's. This is basically a compressor on the frequency range. It helps have a little more control. Let's see how the vocals sound before the processing.
This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late. This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late.
Okay, now let's see how it sounds with the processing.
This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late. This shit's not one way, one way, one way. Baby, now it's too late, too late, too late.
It makes much more sense, doesn't it? And to tidy up the vocals, let's check out the reverbs and effects. For this part, we're gonna check out the main climax of the song. For R&B, it's a bit original. I layered the vocals, but I also added my own touch to it. I added a lot of different reverbs, but what is really interesting is that I added an upward compressor on my reverb. I did this with a Pro MB. I turned the range upwards, and that means that it's lifting the reverb up. So it gives a denser feeling to the reverb, taking into consideration the fact that my instrumentation is quite spacey. This really allows to intensify the feeling of a reverbed environment. Okay, let's listen to the before and after the upward compression on the reverb.
Popped, yeah. The wildflower, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, 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 block. Why you always tryna get popped? The wildflower, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, 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 block.
All right, it sounds good, but it can sound better. So let's check it out.
Popped, yeah. The wildflower, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, 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 block. Why you always tryna get popped? The wildflower, the wild grow. Maybe you ain't ready for the show. Maybe you and I, we gotta stop, 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 block. Why you always tryna get popped? The wildflower, the wildflower, the wild.
All right, that sounds pretty insane to me. I don't know about you, but it's pretty dope. And that's it. You have yourself an alternative R&B song made by yours truly. The whole idea behind this song was to create a space of repetition, swirling, intensifying, and making sure that the listener is really enveloped in a world of clashing emotions. I hope you also do get this feeling. With that said, thank you very much for sticking with me till the end. Kindly do not forget to subscribe to my channel. I do have a Patreon link in the description. In my Patreon, you will have access to exclusive songs of mine. You will also have access to the stems of this project. And subscribing to my Patreon also helps the channel and helps support my content and my music. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Cheers. See you next time.